Hi everyone, so once again, Penguinz0, aka Moist Critical, aka Charlie, has made a response video to me. We've been having a back and forth about the issue of animal ethics. If you want to get caught up to speed, just watch my previous videos on the topic. But just like before, just like with Charlie's previous response video, he has come up with a bunch of nonsense. All of this is just a series of lies, personal attacks, and he's even created this new argument. Cotton, though, we'll talk about the cotton industry later in this video. I know a lot of people want my opinion on that. But let's get right into it. I want to first debunk all of Charlie's lies against me.
So this will be the last video I make about vegan gains. This will be the last time you hear Voldemort's name leave my mouth here. So I made that video addressing a controversy, talking about the video Vegan Gains made about me, calling me a hypocrite for eating meat, and calling out someone who tortures animals on YouTube. He's made a follow-up video. He had a 4-hour stream, which I tuned into because I wanted his perspective. I did open that video up for a dialogue. I thought that's what the goal was, but Vegan Gains has made it clear he doesn't give a fuck about a conversation. He only cares about milking the attention.
So, look, I would be more than happy to have a debate with, Moist Critical or Penguin or Charlie, whatever the fuck he wants to be called. And look, if we do have a debate, I promise to be, cordial. You can look at my other past debates. I'm perfectly capable of having a calm, sensible discussion. And if you're so confident, let's have a live debate. I don't care where it's held. I know you have a podcast. I'd be more than happy to come onto your podcast and have a debate about animal ethics. You can come on my channel and we can have a debate over Discord. I don't care. Easy way to get into contact with me is through Twitter. I followed you. I can't message you, though, so I'd appreciate it if you could send me a DM. I've already tweeted to you. So this is just a very obvious lie. Charlie is claiming that I'm not interested in having a debate or discussion on this topic when I'm the one who challenged you to a debate 3 times now. I did it on a live stream, in a video, on Twitter. The only one who's refusing to have a debate or discussion on this topic is you. You've had several days to respond now, and you still refuse to get into contact with me. And then Charlie claims that, oh, I'm just, chasing clout, I'm trying to get attention. Charlie, just because you have more subscribers than me doesn't mean you're special. I will debate anyone on topics that I'm interested in. In fact, just the other day, I debated someone with absolutely no social media following. He didn't have a YouTube channel, didn't have any big following on Twitter or Instagram. He just messaged me on Twitter saying that he disagrees with my opinions on abortion and was interested in a debate, and I obliged him. We had a long debate, and after that debate, I even talked about this, how I will debate anyone regardless of their social media presence.
Yeah, look, I really appreciate you having me on. It's
Yeah,
not
no
every
problem.
day a popular YouTuber brings on a fan, so thanks.
I really enjoyed this. I like arguing with people, so thanks. Very few people are willing to even debate me on abortion. I've asked, not even big YouTubers, people who have, relatively small followings, around 100K subs, and they still refuse to debate me, even though this is a topic they talk about on their channel. So it's hard for me to find debate opponents on abortion. So thanks for coming on, and if anybody else wants to debate me on abortion, send me a message on Twitter, and as long as you have a reasonable proposition, I'd be more than happy to debate. I'll debate anybody regardless of, their fame, channel size, whatever. I also think it's funny that Charlie has been criticizing me lately for acting all high and mighty and as if I'm better than everyone else for being vegan, but Charlie does this himself. He acts like he's better than other people because he has a high sub count. If someone challenges him to a debate, well, that's only because he's so famous and successful, and these low sub count losers just want to leech off of all of his fame. Get the f over yourself, Charlie. The only reason I challenged you to a debate was because at the time you seemed like a reasonable enough person who I could have a good debate with. But clearly, you're anything but reasonable. All you do is make these petty, ridiculous personal attacks against me and come up with absolute lies.
So right after I posted my video, he went live on YouTube where he watched my 10-minute video for about an hour and a half. I want to say right away, I don't condone people going to harass anyone I make videos about. I hate that behavior. I will never encourage that shit. So the people that went there just to make fun of him or anything like that, you never ever have my encouragement or my blessing to do so. I think that shit sucks. but that did happen. He spent an hour and a half watching a 10-minute video because he'd stop every 2 words to screech and scream one of 3 things, one of only 3 phrases he seems to know: straw man, ad hominem, and poisoning the well. It was a truly insufferable live stream to sit through, but in between his constant short-circuiting where he was only able to regurgitate one of 3 words and talking about the Holocaust and rape.
So Charlie isn't even denying that he used fallacious arguments in his video, he's just criticizing me for pointing out his bad arguments. And what's especially strange about this is he ended up agreeing with me. He ended up admitting that every argument I made was sound, and he didn't even come up with a single valid argument.
The main thing that you're right about 100% is in my initial video, I didn't make any arguments to counter you. I absolutely did not. That wasn't the goal of the video. I wasn't trying to debunk you or fight you on all of your points or anything like that. There was a few that I didn't understand clearly, like the dog thing, but I wasn't trying to counter you. That wasn't the goal of the video. The purpose of my video, the point I was making, is the way you conduct yourself, your character, is the worst thing for veganism and the worst look to people that are already sympathetic to your cause.
So Charlie admits to making a series of fallacious arguments against me, yet still criticizes me for pointing out that his arguments were fallacious, but then he tries to just absolve this, like dismiss it by saying, oh, well, that was my intention. My intention was to just personally attack you and ignore all of your arguments, as if that makes it okay. And then he goes on to, again, make more personal attacks against me, saying that, oh, the way I'm doing animal activism is wrong. I'm too harsh, aggressive, rude, and mean. Well, Charlie, you're guilty of this yourself. When you were preaching about animal welfare, when you made your response to So Young, you called her a piece of shit, you called her fans pieces of shit, you responded to her in a very rude, aggressive manner.
When you hear the word evil right now, you most likely picture someone who time skips in Animal Crossing. That seems to be the unforgivable sin on the internet at the moment, but I want to show you something truly deplorable and evil. There's a YouTuber that has made an entire career out of torturing and eating animals alive. First of all, mukbangs suck. Sitting on your balls is less painful than watching a full mukbang video. If you watch her channel, you watch this content and support it, you suck. You, like, objectively, you're a piece of shit and you have shitty taste. I guarantee I could find 1,000 scientific reports to corroborate that. It's a fact. You suck. And she is absolutely terrible. It's crazy how this is even allowed and how she has an audience that supports it and defends her in the comment section. She has simps defending her in the comment section. The content itself is atrocious. All she does when she's not torturing and eating animals alive is scream, ah, oh, ah, ah, ah. I don't know how you could possibly be entertained by anything she does. It's terrible trash.
So isn't that funny? Charlie criticizes me for being too mean, rude, aggressive, judgmental when I do my animal rights activism, but he does the same thing, and in fact, in this instance, he was even worse. He was extremely rude to So Young, calling her a piece of shit, her fans pieces of shit, simps, all of her content is garbage. Did I say that to you, Charlie? Was I this rude to you? No. So why are you making me out to be the bad guy in this situation when you did the same thing and you were even worse than me? Why is there this double standard for yourself? Is this some sort of privilege that comes along with having a high sub count, being famous, Charlie? So it makes no sense that when you see animal abuse being promoted, you're allowed to behave in this way, be extremely rude, judgmental, hostile, call people pieces of shit. But when I see animal injustice, oh, for some reason I have to be kept on a short leash. I have to be on my best behavior. I can't be rude, mean, hostile, judgmental, but you can be. So, Charlie, these personal attacks against me are stupid. You are a complete hypocrite. You have only managed to prove my point that you are, in fact, a hypocrite. And it's not just because you eat animal products while preaching about animal rights. It's because you are the embodiment of hypocrisy. Virtually every single criticism you have thrown against me, you are guilty of yourself. So next up, Charlie makes up a bunch of lies about when I live streamed, when I uploaded videos, in an attempt to come up with some weird excuse for why he still hasn't contacted me for a debate, to make it look as if, oh no, he is perfectly willing to debate, but I'm just being too unreasonable. That's why he won't debate me. It's not like he's not trying to weasel out of a debate that he knows he'd embarrass himself himself in.
But in between having a macho man meltdown where he'd, challenge people from the chat to come fight him if they disagreed or whatever, he said, "Charlie, if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it," which I had every intention of doing because, like I said, I thought that's what the goal was. We each say our piece and discuss it. However, a mere 2 hours after the live stream ended, somewhere in there, he put up another video addressing it. Even though he had just gone 4 hours thoroughly dissecting everything, he made another video just to milk those titties, get a little extra drama out of this whole situation. He started his stream a little bit before I started streaming myself, so while he was still going, I had already started streaming. By the time I was done streaming, he had already posted another video that had been up for like 2 hours. So it seems like only a couple hours after his stream that went 4 hours dissecting it concluded, he made another video just to really reach deep into the colon of controversy to keep getting some attention out of it. I don't see what the point of the live stream was when you were still made up your mind about making another video, regardless of if I took you up on a debate or conversation offer. So to me, that seems like you don't even genuinely believe in having a conversation. You just really want the attention from this whole situation.
So Charlie has made up a lot of lies here. For one thing, he's claiming that my second response video to him was uploaded only 2 hours after I finished a live stream where I also made a response to him, but it was just a live response. This is false. So I started my live stream on April 17th at 3:30 p.m., and my second response video to him was uploaded the next day at 6:53 a.m. My live stream was also only 2 hours and 20 minutes long, not 4 hours like Charlie claimed. That means there was about a 13-hour gap between when I finished my live stream and when I uploaded my second response video. So I have no idea how you came up with only 2-hour time difference. It sounds like you either are in a constant state of being baked out of your mind or you're lying. Charlie is also lying about when he live streamed. Again, he claimed that he started live streaming while my stream was still going on. So according to him, I didn't finish live streaming when he started his live stream. Well, this is false. We can actually take a look at his stream history. My stream ended at 5:50 p.m., roughly that time, and then his stream started at 6:30 p.m. EST or EDT, so that's the same time zone as me. So there's a 40-minute time gap in between when I finished my stream and when he started his stream. And also keep in mind that I actually challenged Charlie to a debate only 1 hour into my live stream. So there's actually a hour and 40-minute time difference between when I challenged Charlie to a debate on my live stream and when he started his live stream. And Charlie admitted that he even saw this. So look, I would be more than happy to have a debate with, Moist Critical or Penguin or Charlie, whatever the he wants to be called. And look, if we do have a debate, I promise to be cordial.
He said, "Charlie, if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it," which I had every intention of doing because, like I said, I thought that's what the goal was.
So Charlie is acting as if he didn't see that I challenged him to a debate on April 17th before he started working, which is a complete lie. Charlie saw that. He even admitted to it on video. He had plenty of time to respond to me before he started working that day, but he didn't. And Charlie even made up more lies. So Charlie claimed that by the time he finished his stream on April 17th, my second response video was already up. Well, again, this is completely false. So Charlie claimed that he didn't claim, this is just recorded internet history. Charlie started streaming on April 17th at 6:30 p.m. EST, and he streamed for 6 hours. That means he finished his stream at 12:30 a.m. EST, which is my same time zone, which means I published my second video response to him almost 7 hours after he had already finished streaming. So Charlie is trying to make it seem as though, he just didn't have a chance to respond to my debate challenges, when that's a complete lie. You had plenty of time after I live streamed or even during my live stream, and you had plenty of time after you finished work, after you were live streaming. So at any time, you could have just, responded to me, messaged me on Twitter, and accepted my debate challenge, but you didn't because you're terrified of debating me and you're looking for whatever excuse you can to weasel out of it. And now you've made this stupid excuse that, you're just looking for like attention and money. That's the only reason you're doing this. Really, Charlie, you're acting as if that I'm benefiting off of this more than you are. Sure, in that one live stream I did, I made plenty of money off of donations, but the 2 videos I've made about you barely made any money. The one got demonetized. I think it made like 30 bucks. The other made only like a little over $100. How much money have you made off of your videos about me? The first response video you did to me, that made 1.8 million views, and the second one got 1.2 million views. These are some of the most watched videos on your channel. A lot of the videos you make don't even break 1 million views. So how much money have you made off of this, Charlie? Why don't you go into your YouTube studio and show us all how much money these videos made? If you're going to accuse me of just trying to profit off of this, how much have you profited off of this? Again, Charlie, these personal attacks you're throwing against me, they're ridiculous, baseless, just plain stupid, and it only further proves your hypocrisy. Again, like I said earlier, you're not only a hypocrite because you eat animals while preaching about animal rights, but you are the living embodiment of hypocrisy. Every criticism that you have made against me is true of you.
So to me, that seems like you really liked all of the donations you got during your stream. There was a lot of those trolls, like I mentioned, that were donating to make fun of him, and then people in his community donating to support him. So he made a lot of money off the controversy while covering the topic. He did send me a tweet asking if we could have a conversation while I was streaming, and by the time I saw the tweet, the video had already gone up. So he had already made up his mind that he was going to continue making videos about the drama to really squeeze every last bit of extra views he could get out of the situation.
And again, Charlie just makes these baseless personal attacks against me, claiming that I just want money and views. Cool story, Charlie. Again, let's go into your YouTube studio. Let's see how much money you've made off of this. Yeah, as if you're not just doing this for attention and money. These are 2 of the most viewed videos on your channel recently, as if you're not doing this for money and attention, you lying hypocrite. And Charlie is also making up another lie here. Now he's claiming that he only saw that I challenged him to a debate on Twitter, but he only saw this tweet until after he had finished streaming and after I had uploaded my second response. Well, that's a lie. We already know there was a 7-hour time difference between when you finished streaming and when I uploaded my second response, and you even just contradicted yourself. In your own video, you even admitted to seeing when I challenged you to a debate during my live stream.
But in between having a macho man meltdown where he'd, challenge people from the chat to come fight him if they disagreed or whatever, he said, Charlie, if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it, which I had every intention of doing.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
So Charlie, you are a liar. You never had any intention of debating me or having any kind of fair, reasonable discussion on this topic. You kept dodging my debate offers, and you're still doing it. It's just that now you can't use the excuse of, oh, well, I didn't have time to respond to your debate offers. Now you're coming up with another stupid excuse that apparently I'm just after fame and money and attention. You can't debate someone like that. Sure, Charlie, as if that's not what you're interested in by making these stupid response videos to me. The fact is, you know you're wrong, you just feel bad for being called out as a hypocrite, and now you're trying to get back at me by launching these stupid, petty, ridiculous, baseless attacks and lies against me. So now the next section of Charlie's video is him, again, trying to make me look bad. He's attempting to make me look like a hypocrite, and he fails.
Your comparison to me eating a chicken tender being the same as So Young torturing animals on YouTube for entertainment, if not worse, that is just outright ridiculous, and you're delusional. It's hard to have like an actual cohesive argument to that because it is so outlandish. That's like me saying you support the abuse of women and children by buying tickets to a movie. Hollywood has abused child actors and actresses constantly. So by you having seen even a single movie in your life, you have supported that.
So this is just a completely stupid argument. This is the kind of mindless crap that I deal with on a daily basis. But Charlie thinks that, oh, I have a big brain. This is a great argument. You can't answer that, huh, vegans? Well, the reason why it is wrong to buy meat, but it isn't wrong to buy movie tickets where perhaps the actors or actresses involved are either victims or perpetrators of sexual abuse is because, one, when you buy meat, exploitation and murder is a necessary part of that process. When you are buying meat, you quite literally are paying for exploitation and murder and very likely horrific abuse. Whereas when you buy a movie ticket, You aren't paying for that. That is not a necessary process for when a movie is involved, and you also haven't proven that this would do anything to reduce sexual assaults or any kind of sexual violence. The people who are either victims or perpetrators of sexual abuse in Hollywood, if there were no movies, would likely still be committing sexual abuse. So, what? Like, you thought this was a good argument? Really? So that is a perfect example of why Charlie is avoiding a debate with me at all costs. This is why he is going to these lengths of coming up with these insane, ridiculous lies and excuses just so that he can duck out of a debate. It's because this is the best he can come up with. It's that bad.
It's a moral high ground anyone can take against anyone for anything. You wear a gaming headset during your streams. You realize those parts that compose that gaming headset, a lot of them are made in sweatshops. Very, very immoral means of getting those parts, and you're wearing it freely. So by wearing that, you're supporting that kind of terrible thing in the world. I'm of course not the only one to make this comparison, but you keep dodging it. On Twitter, a user proposed the exact same thing, and your response was, "Oh, you're just retarded. You're not nearly on the same level of intelligence that I am. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm holier than thou. You're wrong. Look at Foxconn." I don't know if you're joking or if you're actually dumb, but Foxconn actually does use minors at their factories in China. They're being investigated for it. It's pretty well documented. And Foxconn's an extremely terrible place to work that's well known for workers committing suicide. So I don't know why you'd use this as an example to somehow dismiss the argument. But even if you did cherry pick like the world's best factory, it doesn't dismiss the comparison. That'd be like me saying, hey, look at this incredible slaughterhouse that treats its animals extremely well. This is representative of all slaughterhouses, right? It just doesn't make any sense. You just come across real dumb here.
All right, well, first of all, this person that I was responding to on Twitter, they were committing a tu quo qui fallacy. What that means is they were trying to claim that it is fine for them to commit some sort of wrongdoing like eating meat because I am guilty of the same or similar wrongdoing. Well, obviously this is a fallacious argument. With this sort of reasoning, we could justify anything, like the Holocaust or eating animals while they're alive, like So Young. So I don't know why you'd expect me to respect somebody like this who uses fallacious arguments and is just wasting my time, and you are dumb enough to support this person making a fallacious argument, a logical fallacy. So again, you're trying to make me out to be a hypocrite, but you only prove that you're the hypocrite. You're trying to argue that tu quo qui fallacies are perfectly reasonable, but then that would completely invalidate what you said against So Young. It is insane. And secondly, this argument you're making about me supporting, unfair working conditions, sweatshop work, it's nonsense. First of all, the reason these people are working at these companies like Foxconn is because that's the best job available to them. If they couldn't work there, they just end up doing work that requires longer hours, harder work, less pay. So like, getting rid of these jobs isn't going to do anything. It's not going to improve their working conditions, and it's not out of the question to think that, okay, if we totally stopped buying electronics like, I don't know, gaming headphones, okay, these companies would just switch over to some other form of manufacturing, like maybe garments, tables, chairs, and these same workers will be in the same bad situation where they don't have the greatest working conditions. So the only way to really improve these people's lives is to, have legislation enacted in these countries that improve labor laws. And I don't understand how you're claiming that I'm supporting, child labor. You just admitted in this video that it's illegal to do this in China. They already have legislation against this, and it's being investigated. So what the hell do you want me to do about that? So again, just terrible, stupid argument. You just don't know what the hell you're talking about.
You're also pathetically lying on Twitter. I've never blocked anyone on YouTube. I had to Google where I could even find that feature to see if anyone's blocked. There's nobody even listed there. This is just an outright lie. You also act like you're some huge war hero that came out triumphant over this incredible internet battle where you slap me around on my arguments. But I didn't make any arguments. You said yourself I didn't make any arguments, so I don't know what you're going on about here puffing out your chest for. You also act like I'm afraid to talk to you, as if I'm hiding in some underground bunker in a shelter, avoiding the boogeyman of veganism, which clearly isn't the case.
Well, we already know that's not true. I've proven that you're deliberately lying in an attempt to weasel out of debating me. So no, you're terrified of debating me, having any kind of real conversation, because you know I'd embarrass you publicly. And with regards to me claiming that you banned me from commenting on your channel, okay, well, fair enough. I left a comment on one of your videos just asking you to take a look at one of my tweets that I sent out to you and respond to my debate offer, but I commented almost immediately after that video was uploaded and nobody responded. So usually that's typical of somebody banning you from their channel, but sure, maybe my comment got filtered out by some bot.
And if you want to go in the hypocrite route, you're a massive hypocrite. You have a Teespring where you sell Vegan Gains cotton t-shirts. Cotton is not only one of the worst things for the environment, we'll go ahead and set that aside because I don't think you give a about that. We're going to talk about its direct impact on animals. The production of cotton accounts for 24% of the global insecticide market. Insecticide in the cotton production often leaks into the water supply of the nearby areas and threatens biodiversity and directly poisons the animals. So by you selling cotton t-shirts, you are directly killing animals. And not just that, you're profiting from it, which is even worse. In fact, goes beyond that. You're paying someone else to make these cotton t-shirts for you, which are killing animals, and you're making money off of it. It's pretty extreme, man. That's a lot worse than what meat eaters do, people that eat KFC. I actually don't even eat KFC, by the way. That was the first time I've eaten KFC since I was 6 years old. And I really don't eat red meat. That was the first time I've taken a nibble of red meat in about a decade. But what you do is so much worse than those things, because people that do eat meat like that, the animal's already dead, with or without them buying it. But for you, that shirt didn't exist until you put it in production, so you actually just brought it out there and have some blood on your hands, whereas meat eaters, they're a little bit cleaner than you in that regard.
Alright, so first of all, again, this is a tu quo qui fallacy. Charlie is trying to suggest that because it's wrong to farm cotton, and because I support the cotton industry, therefore it's okay for him to do something else that's wrong, like eat meat. Again, this sort of reasoning can lead to justifying anything. It could justify the Holocaust, it could justify eating animals alive. So again, why would you end up criticizing So Young when you're going to rely on this sort of logical fallacy as the basis of your argument against me? It doesn't make any sense. Secondly, this argument you're coming up with, it's a consequentialist argument. You're arguing that because producing cotton causes so much harm, it is therefore wrong to produce cotton, and therefore I'm a hypocrite because as a vegan, I should be against causing harm. Well, I'm not a consequentialist, so I just reject this idea that just because something causes harm, that necessarily means it's wrong to support that thing, that product, or that industry. So you just assumed what my moral values are, and then created some sort of contrived argument to try and prove I'm a hypocrite, but this in no way proves I'm a hypocrite because I don't believe in these moral values. Also, if you're going to rely on this consequentialist argument that the cotton industry is immoral because it generates harm or more harm than other agricultural products, then you have to actually prove that. You did nothing to prove your claims that the cotton industry generates harm. What evidence do you have that overall it is harmful, or that it creates more harm than any other agricultural product? Yet you still made this baseless claim that buying a t-shirt generates more harm than buying a bucket of KFC chicken, and as if to suggest that buying, like, the cotton industry is worse than the meat industry, which is absolutely ridiculous. The meat industry causes far more suffering, death, and environmental impact than the cotton industry. About 70 billion land animals are killed for food each year, and this data does not include insect deaths. You failed to mention this in your video, but a lot of the crops that we grow are actually fed to animals, and these crops rely on pesticides to produce these sorts of yields. So this is obviously inevitably going to cause insect deaths and deaths of other small animals when they're harvested. And meat consumption is also one of the biggest sources of greenhouse gas emissions, soil loss, water and nutrient pollution, biodiversity loss. According to the UN's latest climate report, again, the meat industry is largely responsible for a huge portion of greenhouse gas emissions, and relying on animal agriculture even reduces our food supply. So if you're going to claim that it's wrong to buy a cotton t-shirt because the cotton industry causes so much harm, well, the meat industry causes far more harm. So how do you justify buying and eating meat? You also haven't proven that cotton is any more, damaging than any other crop. What if it were the case that plenty of other food crops like corn, soy, wheat, oats, barley, like all the fruits and vegetables we eat, are actually more environmentally harmful than cotton? Would you support a position that we should just ban agriculture altogether because it all generates harm to some extent? which would end up killing like billions of people. So in what way does this make me a hypocrite? You're also ignoring other important aspects in this whole moral equation. You're ignoring the differences between these animals. Farm animals like chickens, cows, pigs, they're a lot more sentient. They have a much greater capacity to experience pain and suffering than animals like insects. So I don't see it at all morally equivalent to kill a bunch of insects with pesticides, whereas with these farm animals, you're slitting their throats open, and during their entire lifetimes, a lot of them suffer a great deal. And on top of that, the reason, like why and how these animals are being killed, I do see a distinct moral difference between forcibly breeding these animals, exploiting them, slitting their throats open, just because you like the taste of a burger, whereas in plant agriculture, you're using pesticides to protect your resources, a lot of these resources being absolutely necessary.
You march around like you're this morally superior celestial being, but you're really not. I don't find you to be like this moral authority of YouTube. Throughout your entire history on YouTube, it's been a controversial one. One thing you've done pretty often is make fun of people with cancer, which I think is very low. Even recently, it's not like you've progressed past an edgy stage. Recently, you made fun of a bodybuilder who took a picture with a child with cancer.
Cancer is an almighty killer, and I wish there was a cure for it. I, for one, will be supporting Team Lewis in the future and hope you guys will too. One day, cancer will be a thing of the past and the memory of Lewis will live on in the cure when it's found.
Well, Eddie, since we're still waiting for that cure for cancer to be found, how about in the meantime we try and prevent ourselves from developing cancer in the first place?
Vegan Gains defends this clip vehemently by saying he's clearly not mocking this child with cancer, but I don't know how he can possibly not see how it seems like he is by the way he's talking. If I talk to you that way, Vegan Gains, you'd think that I'm mocking you, right? Like, my name's Richard and I'm so mad at...
So once again, Charlie is making up lies about me, and it seems that he's well aware of the lies he's actually making up. So in that clip, he's taking it out of context. I wasn't making fun of the child with cancer. I was criticizing the strongman in this photo, Eddie Hall, for virtue signaling and exploiting this child who has cancer and eventually died, just so that he could get greater social media fame. And I found it especially hypocritical that he did this when he sells products that cause cancer, like sausages. And I actually went into great detail explaining this whole situation because other morons like you have tried to use this personal attack against me. And the only person I criticized here was Eddie for what I perceived as virtue signaling. Now, I think it's perfectly reasonable that after somebody passes, you make a Facebook post saying, you know, it's really sad that they're gone, my condolences to the family, but that's not what Eddie did. He went way above and beyond that, and I perceive this as virtue signaling. He started talking about how, oh, I hate cancer, oh, if only there was a cure for cancer, then Lewis wouldn't have died, oh, these poor children dying of cancer, hopefully one day we find a cure. Well, I think all of us share that same sentiment, so what's the point of making a post like that? To me, it's clear that Eddie just wanted to show off and make himself look good without having to actually do anything or put any effort into anything. And this is especially hypocritical of him to say this when he's supporting the consumption of products that have been proven to cause cancer, like processed meat. So that was what I was criticizing. I wasn't making fun of anyone who had cancer, I was only criticizing Eddie Hall. And I think you should also consider that Eddie Hall made this post on his business account on his Facebook page. So this isn't a private account. This is really for all of his fans to follow him. He has 1 million followers on this. He has links to his website and products. But if you take a look at his private Facebook page where he only communicates with actual friends and family, things are a bit different. Back in August, while this child was still alive, he made a really reasonable post just saying, hey, help support the family financially through these tough times. But then when you go to November 15th, where he made this post on his business account, there's nothing there on his private account. There's a gap between November 9th and December 1st, where this funeral occurred where this kid died. So he doesn't give a shit about this kid in his private life, but when he has an opportunity to show off and tell everybody, oh, I love children, I hate cancer, oh, I want to save all the little children, that's where he'll make a post like that. On his business account where millions of people will see it, but on his private account where maybe only a few dozen people will see it, who cares? He won't make a post like that. And I think that's pretty damn disgusting. And I think it's pretty disgusting that you wouldn't side with me on an issue like that. So Charlie, it's obvious that you're just lying and trying to slander me, I guess because you're mad that you lost this argument on the internet. It's funny how you will take this clip of me out of context, but you won't actually show what I actually said on this issue. I think my stance on this was very reasonable, even if you disagree. I don't think you can claim after watching that clip that I made fun of a kid with cancer, yet still, even though you alluded to the fact that you are aware of this clip, you saw the video I made, you still deliberately chose to take this clip out of context and slander me. Seriously, you're just a piece of crap. I don't even understand why you're doing this other than you're just mad that I made you look like a fool.
He goes on to talk about how red meat is, very correlated with cancer. And I don't know what Vegan Gains' degree is in, but I actually did go to college for human sciences. Concentration was exercise physiology. I've taken numerous nutritional courses. Richard talks about carcinogens. One of the first things you'll learn throughout nutrition in university, at least in my university, is that's the most obsolete way of looking at cancer-causing agents in food. Every single food out there is a known carcinogen. Even the safe stuff that your mom tucks you in at night saying is safe, will watch over you at night, like broccoli. Broccoli is a very well-known carcinogen. Almonds too. Everything is a known carcinogen, and the way Richard presents this is extremely misleading. He presents the research in a way that makes it sound to his audience that if you eat red or processed meat, you're gonna get cancer. And while yes, red and processed meat is significantly worse than a lot of other options out there, it's extremely up, and he always makes it sound like it's the person's fault they got cancer because they ate red meat. It's disgusting.
So Charlie just spouted off a bunch of pseudoscientific nonsense, and then he proceeded to strawman me. I have never claimed that if you eat meat, you are going to get cancer, or that cancer is always going to be your fault. Show me one quote of me ever saying that. Have I ever said that in a video? Have I ever said that on a Twitter post? No, you can't find one single instance of me saying that, Charlie? Well then, why are you making up these lies about me? So the first claim he made about everything being a carcinogen, no, Charlie, I don't think you were taught this in school. I think you weren't paying attention again and you were baked out of your mind. Not every substance on Earth is a carcinogen, and not every food product contains carcinogenic substances, or at least not in quantities or concentrations that would actually cause cancer to develop in a human. And the reason the WHO has classified red and processed meat as carcinogens is because they contain very powerful carcinogens known as nitrosamines. Nitrosamines are the carcinogenic substances in cigarettes that cause cancer, and processed meat happens to contain these nitrosamines. The heme iron in red meat happens to create the endogenous production of nitrosamines. And fairly consistently in prospective cohorts epidemiological research, you will find associations with red and processed meat and cancer. Hence why the WHO classified red and processed meat as cancer-causing carcinogens. So, Charlie, once again, you didn't provide an argument. You didn't prove that my statements about cancer were wrong. You just said, I went to school. Everything's a carcinogen. Broccoli causes cancer. Where's the evidence for any of these statements? Do you have any evidence that red and processed meat don't increase your risk of cancer? No? Well, then I think what I just said is perfectly frickin' reasonable. Wouldn't you agree?
I really think it's pretty fucked up, and I don't know why you think you have this moral high ground just because you're vegan.
Charlie, how about I just play the same game you play? Well, I don't understand why you think you have this moral high ground above So Young when all she does is tortures animals to death. You think you're better than someone just because you don't torture animals? Charlie, I've gone over all of the arguments for why it's wrong to kill animals. You admitted that you have no argument against this, so you're admitting to supporting something that you recognize as morally wrong, yet you're making me out to be the bad guy. Like, Charlie, this is it. You claimed that you made your last response video to me. No, this is my last response video to you. You can debate me or shut the hell up. I've proven that you are a hypocritical liar, and that's it. You have no argument. You admitted to it. So we're done. Thank you. Good night.